Hi everyone, my name is Happy Abiola, and on today's topic, I'll be talking about the security framework. I'll be talking about how to provide a structured approach to managing and mitigating cybersecurity risk within an organization. And here I'll be talking about the cybersecurity environment, which encompasses various aspects such as development processes, paradigms, information management, configuration management, and system. So this happens within an organization. So development processes refers to the methodologies and practices used to design, build, and deploy software and system. So with a focus on integrating security consideration throughout the development lifecycle. And paradigms involves the underlying principles and approaches guiding cybersecurity practices, such as the shift left approach to security, which emphasizes addressing security concerns early in the uh, development process. So we also have information management, which pertain to the handling, storage, and protection of data assets, including sensitive information, with measure in place to ensure confidentiality, integrity, and availability. We also have configuration management, which involves maintaining consistency and control over IT resources and configuration, ensuring that systems are properly configured to minimize security risk and vulnerabilities. And then system, of course, is part of the cybersecurity environment, which encompasses the hardware, the software, and networks, comprising an organization's IT infrastructure. So with security measure in place to protect against cyber threats and attack. So overall, an effective cybersecurity environment addresses all these components to mitigate risk and also to safeguard the organizational asset. So we have the risk management and the cybersecurity framework, and which practices, within organization, which involves a comprehensive approach that considers various factors such as development threat, such as legal and regulatory requirements, business mission objectives, organizational constraints, utilizing frameworks like NIST Cybersecurity Framework or ISO 27001. So this framework provides a structure methodology for identifying, assessing, and mitigating risk to digital assets and also to sensitive information. So development threats include involving cyber threats such as ransom attack and data breaches. So these are carefully analyzed and incorporated into risk assessment to ensure proactive measures are in place to defend against any cyber attack. So we also have a legal and regulatory requirement such as the GDPR, the EPA, we have the just the industry specific standard in general, which serve as the essential benchmark for compliance, guiding the implementation of security controls and policies. So aligning security practices with business or mission objectives ensure that cybersecurity efforts are tightly integrated with organizational goals, fostering resilience and continuity. However, organizational constraint is part of the risk management and cybersecurity framework. So this organizational constraints such as budgetary limitations or resource constraint may present challenges in fully implementing all these recommended security measures, necessitating a balanced approach to risk management that optimizes resources while maintaining adequate protection level. So when we look into all this, we have to make sure that we have we are on top of the risk management. We have to incorporate development threat into risk assessment, and also aligning security measure with legal and regulatory requirements. So organization needs doing all this, an organization can effectively mitigate risk and safeguard their digital asset. So integrating security efforts with business or mission objectives, it ensures that cybersecurity becomes an integral component of organizational strategy, enhancing overall resilience and competitiveness. So despite organizational constraints, such as limited budget or resources availability, as I mentioned earlier, they can still leverage on choosing a framework that will enables them to prioritize security initiatives based on the risk, impact, and strategy. So they can still leverage on optimizing resources allocation for maximum effectiveness. So overall, the framework provides a holistic approach to risk management that balances proactive threat mitigation with compliance, adherence, and strategic alignment, ultimately enhancing the organization's cybersecurity posture and resilience. Here I'll be talking about security best practices and cybersecurity program. So developing a robust cybersecurity program necessitates adherence to security best practices and framework, so which serves as a foundational guidelines for safeguarding digital assets and mitigating risk. So initially, organizations should assess their unique security requirements and risk tolerance to choose an appropriate framework tailored to their needs. Commonly adopted frameworks such as NIST, Cybersecurity Framework, ISO 27001, CIS control, they offer structured methodologies for establishing, for implementing, and improving cybersecurity measures. So these frameworks provide comprehensive guidance on identifying threats, implementing controls, and responding to incidents, ensuring alignment with industry standards and regulatory compliance. So by leveraging frameworks, organizations gain a structured approach to developing their cybersecurity program, facilitating effective risk management and resource allocation. And we have to look at mapping, how we can map the security control in an organization. So mapping security control to specific framework enables organizations to systematically address security requirements and prioritize initiatives based on the criticality and the impact. So this process involves identifying relevant security control outlined in the chosen frameworks and also aligning them with organizational objectives and risk profiles. So through this mapping exercise, organization can bridge the gap between security best practices and operational realities, ensuring that implemented measures are both comprehensive and relevant. And additionally, establishing and enforcing policies and procedure based on this mapped control foster a culture of security awareness and accountability within the organization. So by consistently implementing security measures and regularly updating policy to reflect emerging threats and technological advancement, organizations can enhance their cybersecurity posture and adapt to evolving risk landscape effectively. And here I'll be talking about the workflow of information and decision at the major level. So here I have the executive level. So this level comprises, top level executives such as the CEO, the CFO, the COO, and other C-suite executives. And their responsibilities include setting the overall strategy direction and vision for the organization, establishing goals and objectives, and making high-level decisions that impact the entire organization. So the executive receive information from various sources, including reports from department heads, financial data, market analysis, and input from strategic planning committee. So they make decisions based on this information to guide the organization toward its long-term goal and ensures alignment with mission and value. So, and then the executive provide guidance and directive to department heads and strategic planning committees, setting priorities and allocating resources accordingly. So we have strategic planning committee. So strategic planning committee, this committee is responsible for developing long-term strategies and planning to achieve the organizational goal. It is typically consists of senior executives, department heads, and other key stakeholders. So the committees gathers information on market trends, industry benchmarks, competitive analysis, and internal capabilities to inform strategic decision making. And they also develop a strategic initiatives, they allocate resources and defines performance metrics to measure progress toward strategic objectives. They do recommendations and propose from the strategic planning committee. They usually present it to the executive level for approval and implementation. And we have the department heads and functional heads. So the department heads or functional heads leads are responsible for overseeing specific department and functions area within the organization, such as the marketing, the finance, the operation, the HR, and so on and so forth. They receive strategic directive from the executive level and translate them into actionable plans and objectives for their respective department. So the department heads gather information from middle managers, supervisors, and frontline staff regarding operational activities, performance metrics and challenges. So they analyze this information to assess departmental performance, identify areas for improvement, and make recommendation for resource allocation and process optimization. Additionally, the departmental heads communicate departmental goals and priorities to middle managers and frontline staff, ensuring alignment with organizational objectives. So we also have the middle manager and the supervisor. So the middle manager and the supervisor are responsible for overseeing teams and ensuring day-to-day operations run smoothly. They receive instructions and guidance from department head and are tasked with translating departmental goals into actionable tasks and assignments for their team. So they gather information from frontline staff regarding task progress, issues and concerns, providing feedbacks and support as needed. They also communicate upward, providing updates on team performance, resource needs and operational challenges to department heads and executives. So they play a critical role in facilitating communications and collaboration between frontline staff and upper management, ensuring alignment with organizational objectives and priority. So we have the frontline staff and the team members. The frontline staff are the employees directly involved in carrying out the day-to-day tasks and activities to support the organizational goals. They receive instructions and assignments from the middle managers or supervisors and are responsible for executing them effectively and efficiently. So the frontline staff gather information on task progress, issues and obstacles encountered during execution, providing feedback to middle manager for resolution. So they play a crucial role in implementing organizational strategies, delivering products or services to customers, and contributing to overall operational success. So overall, the workflow of information and decision with the organization follows a hierarchical structure with communication channel facilitating the flow of information from top level executive down to the front line staff, and the feedback loops enabling upward communication to inform decision making at a higher level. So each level of the organization has specific role and responsibility in executing this workflow, ensuring alignment with strategic objectives and effective coordination of activities across the organization. So on this slide, I'll be talking about compliance. To ensure compliance within an organization, we have to look at some certain compliance and regulation like NIST, ISO 2700, the PCI DSSI, the EPA, the SOX, the GLBA, and so on and so forth. So organization must address critical cybersecurity need, tailored to each regulatory framework specific requirement. NIST provide comprehensive guidelines and standard for cybersecurity practices, emphasizing risk management, continuous monitoring, and incident response. So on the other hand, ISO 2700 series focuses on establishing an information security management system based on international standard to protect sensitive information. In regulation like PCI DSS, the EPA, the SOX, the GLBA, the GDPR, they all impose additional requirements specific to industry such as finance, healthcare, and data privacy. In terms of necessitating compliance with stringent security control and data protection measure. So organizations should prioritize their cybersecurity effort based on their regulatory obligation, based on the business needs and desired outcomes. So this involves conducting thorough assessment to identify regulatory requirements applicable to their industry and aligning cybersecurity initiatives accordingly. So by prioritizing efforts to address critical compliance requirements, first, organization can ensure that essential security control and measures are in place to protect sensitive data, mitigate risk, and meet regulatory obligation effectively. Additionally, aligning cybersecurity efforts with business objectives, it enables organizations to achieve a balance between compliance requirements and operational efficiency, fostering a proactive approach to cybersecurity management. On this slide, I'll be talking about the software assurance maturity mode. So a software maturity mode progresses through several stages, starting with the initial phase, characterized by the ad hoc and reactive processes. So this stage basically is the software assurance practices. It lacks the consistency and documentation, making it difficult to repeat or improve upon them. However, as organizations move into the manage phase, they begin to establish like basic standardized processes and document procedure for software assurance. So while still somehow, kind of reactive, there is a shift, towards proactive measure for identifying and addressing, security vulnerabilities. So additionally, training programs may be implemented to educate employees about software security best practices, laying the groundwork for further improvement. So in the third level, which is the defined phase, software assurance process becomes more standardized and well documented, with clear guidelines for implementation. So organizations invest in proactive measures such as, threat modeling, security testing, and vulnerability assessments, to identify and mitigate security risk. So of course, so training and awareness programs are expanded to ensure that employees across the organization understand their role in maintaining software security. So as organization progress into the quantitatively managed phase, which is the phase 4, they establish metrics for evaluating the effectiveness of software assurance activities and focus on continuous improvement based on data-driven insight. So risk management becomes a key focus with software assurance effort aligned with the overall management goal and resources, prioritizing to address the most significant security risk. So this is where the optimizing, which is the level 5 comes in. So they focus more on the process of improvement, right? So they make sure that they establish like a metrics for for evaluating the effectiveness of the software assurance activities, and they focus on continuous improvement based on the insight that they have. So thank you for listening, and here are my references, and do have a good one. Thank you.